This is the homework helper for the 7th grade instruction on T-chart conversions, a method of converting between metric and U.S. measurements and vice versa. So what you see here is what you have in your notes. The top part is something that you're going to see repeated over and over again, even though it only appears once in your notes there. And then at the bottom you're going to see the examples here. There's not really going to be any variations in the questions because I think learning this process is enough on its own. As far as setting these up here, we're going to do these a lot like we did with just the English measurement conversions here. The other day when we were doing how many inches is 3.5 feet or that type of question, we had to set those up with T-chart conversions. We're going to be doing the same thing here, except because of the conversions between different systems that you're going to see quite a bit of, you're going to have more than one part to the T, or multiple T's chained together to do this here. Remember, as far as that process goes, what you're going to be looking for first would be a conversion that directly takes you from where you're starting to where you're ending. If you don't have that, then you have to chain multiple conversions together that will carry you from where you're starting to where you're ending. Since in this question that you see on the screen, it says converting 10 meters into miles, we would be looking for a conversion that has meters and miles in it directly. And if I can't see one, I'm telling you there is one right now, but if I couldn't see one, then I would be trying to escape meters any way I could. So look for a conversion that has meters, let's say it took me to inches, and then find me a conversion that would then take me from inches to where I want to end, miles. If I can't find that, then take me somewhere that gets me out of inches, let's say it took me to yards, and then find a conversion that takes me from yards to miles. It's all about just chaining these conversions together so you get from where you want to start to where you want to end. As you can see, the conversions up there are broken up a few different ways. You've got length in the first column, mass in the second column, third column is capacity, and then down here, this row, you've got all those metric conversions we saw yesterday. Of course, you aren't going to put the metric part in a T-chart so much because, as you know, with the metric conversions, let's say I get to, if I'm talking about this column here, let's say I get into meters and I want something to go into kilometers. To go from meters to kilometers is 3 jumps to the left on the chart, and we move the decimal the same way. And again, the whole reason that works is because metric is based on the numbering system that revolves around the number 10. Unfortunately, a lot of these other measurements don't fit that billing. All right, so as you can see, they've got the T-chart set up just like you saw the other day when we were working with U.S. measurement alone. And in the T-chart here, this upper left block of the T here, you always put whatever you're starting with. And that's going to be dependent on the question. This question, we're starting with 10 meters because we're supposed to change those 10 meters into miles. So that's what I'm starting with. This bottom left box for now is always going to be grayed out just like it was the other day. We're always just going to leave that blank for now. Eventually what we will do is we will fill in there, if we were doing some dimensional analysis with things like miles per hour, we would put the hour piece there. But we don't have that there, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so let's go ahead and look at filling some things in here now. Remember, when we put these into the question, we want to cancel on the diagonal. That's an essential piece of what we're doing here. So since there's something with meters up here, I know I've got to put something else with meters down here because it's going to cancel units on the diagonal, just like if we were reducing two fractions multiplying on the diagonal. Same approach here, except we're doing it with words instead of numbers. And so, as you can see, kind of the other hint that I've given you here, I'm hoping this shows up on the camera okay, is I've highlighted the conversions we're using here. And a lot of the times in this homework, in the notes and in the homework rather, the conversions that you're going to use are going to be already chained together. So you're just going to kind of, once you find the first one, you're just going to follow down the path, and that'll probably be where everything is. I'm not saying that's true for every problem, but for a lot of problems it is. So I'm converting 10 meters here into miles, and this conversion has meters and miles in it. So that's the conversion I want to use to get me from meters to miles. Now we know units have to cancel on the diagonal. So since meters is up here, the other meters thing is going to have to go down here. So when I fill that in here, as you can see, I put the 1 mile in the top and the 1609.344 meters in the bottom. Again, that's me canceling meters on the diagonal, which is what's supposed to happen here. And once I cancel those meters out, look at what I haven't crossed out. I didn't cross out miles. That's how I know I've done this correctly. Every single time, the one unit I won't cross out will be wherever I'm supposed to end up. Here I didn't cross out miles, and that's good because the question is asking me to change this into miles. So now once you've gotten to your right unit, now it's a matter of taking care of the number part. You multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then divide the two. So in the top, we've got 10 times 1, which is 10. And in the bottom, the only thing we have in this particular question is the 1609.344. So I'm going to write 1609.344 in the answer, and then I'm just going to divide the two. The 10 divided by the 1609.344, and when I divide that out, it's about, again about, this is a calculator answer, 0.0062 miles. So 10 meters is about 0.0062 miles. All right, 27 furlongs into feet is the second example here. So, as you can see, they've already got our T-chart set up, and kind of a little bit of a giveaway here, but as you can see, now I've chained a couple T's together, which means I'm going to need more than one conversion to escape here. If we take a look at the chart here, there's only a couple ways to get out of furlongs in the chart here. I can go furlongs to yards using this conversion, or furlongs to miles using this conversion. Well, unfortunately, this question is asking me to change into feet. So while I'm going to have to use one of these two to escape, right, it's not going to get me to my answer in one step. That's how I know that I can't do this in one step, and I'm going to need more than one T. So, with that in mind here, we've set up our T. Our 27 furlongs that we're starting with here is in this upper left box. Again, whatever you start with is going to go right here. This bottom left box is going to be grayed out. So, as you can see from my highlights here, I've decided to use these two because if I look, I'm going to go furlongs to miles here, which doesn't help me directly, but then I can go here, miles to feet, and that will help me come up with my correct answer. So those are the two conversions I'm going to use. Could I have gone another way here? Absolutely, I could have gone another way here. I could have gone furlongs to yards, and yards to feet, and feet to miles. That does absolutely work. It is one additional step beyond what I'm doing, though. But you should get basically the same answer no matter which route you follow. So, I've got the 8 furlongs as miles going into my chart here. And again, remember, units cancel on the diagonal. So since something with furlongs is here, to make that go away, I have to put something with furlongs down here. So I'm going to put the 8 furlongs down here and the 1 mile up there. We see furlongs canceling furlongs on the diagonal, and now notice the unit I haven't crossed out here is miles. So now I want to go ahead and get rid of miles. Well, now I'm going to use this other conversion. I've already used this one, so I don't want to touch that again. 5,280 feet is a mile. Well, remember, I'm canceling units on the diagonal every single time I do this. So since something with miles is up here, to get rid of miles, I'm going to put something else with miles down here. So that's going to be that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Again, we see the miles are canceling diagonal when I write this conversion. And once I do that, I can see the only unit I haven't crossed out is feet. Well, that's perfect, because that's where I'm supposed to be. The question is asking me to convert into feet. So I'm going to multiply across the top, 27 times 1 times 5,280, not necessarily the nicest multiplication ever. I get 142,560. And on the bottom, I've got 8 times 1, which is a much nicer multiplication, which is going to change into 8. I'm going to divide these two. I'm going to do the 142,560 divided by 8. And when I do that, I get 17,820. So 27 furlongs is the same as 17,820 feet. All right, in the next question, we're asked to convert 323 grains into pounds. And as you can see from the highlights there, we're switching over to the second column now. We're going to do some mass questions here. So, one thing I noticed it says in that column there that I want to point out, it wants you to make sure you're doing grains, not grams, when you do this conversion here, because there are some that say grains and some that say grams, and they do look a lot alike there, other than that middle the middle letters there with that one little hoop missing, and the dot is really all that's different. It's an easy mistake to make. But we're converting grains, G-R-A-I-N-S, into pounds here. So as far as me escaping grains, a couple different ways I can do this. I've got this third conversion here that takes me directly from grains to pounds, which I could use. But as you can see, I've highlighted these top two so we can practice multiple T's here. So, if I'm going to escape 323 grains, I'm going to escape it by going grains to ounces first. Remember, when I fill this in, units have to cancel diagonally. So if something with grains is up here, which it is because this is where you always put whatever you're starting with, something else with grains has to go down here. That's going to be that 437.5 grains is going to go here with the 1 ounce filling in right here. We see the units canceling diagonally, which is important. Now I'm into ounces. So since I'm at ounces, but the question is asking me to go to pounds, I can't stop yet because I need to get into pounds. I'm only at ounces. Now I'm going to use this 16 ounces as a pound. Again, when I write in that next conversion, I'm adding in a second T. And again, what we know here is units have to cancel on the diagonal. I can't stress that enough. That's the key to success here. Since I know ounces is in the top, to get rid of it, I'm going to have to put something with ounces in the bottom. So that's where I'm going to put my 16 ounces, and my 1 pound is going to go up there. I'm going to see ounces canceling ounces on diagonal, and now I'm left with pounds. All right, so since pounds is the only thing I haven't crossed out now I'm ready to go ahead and solve. I'm going to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and divide the two. 323 times 1, that's one of the nicer multiplications I could have given you. 323, the bottom is 437.5 times 16, which is 7,000. So I'm going to take 323 and divide by 7,000, and that's 0.0461 pounds. So 323 grains is 0.0461 pounds. All right, now I'm asked to convert 25 ounces into kilograms. So if we're going ounces to kilograms here, the problem is going to be that if we look at this chart that we've been focusing so much time on, kilograms isn't in this column here. So there's no way I can get to kilograms. That's a known fact right up the top. But what I can do, as you can see from my highlights, is I can get to grams here. And once I get to grams, I'm going to drop down here and do metric conversions like we did yesterday, converting grams into kilograms. That's the way I can find success here. So let's go ahead and start filling in some conversions here. As you can see, I've got my T chart set up. I know it's going to be a double already, so I've already got 2 T's chained together there. I put what I'm starting with, my 25 ounces up here, and this bottom left box is grayed out. All right, so what I know here is that 16 ounces is a pound. That's the first conversion. I know I have to use that because I've got to cross out this ounces, and the only way for me to get rid of ounces is to put something else with ounces down here. So that's what I'm prepared to do. So I'm going to put the 16 ounces down here and the 1 pound up here. The ounces are going to cancel diagonally and get me to pounds, and that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. All right, so now I'm going to fill in the other conversion that I'm using, the fact that 1 pound is 453.59 grams. Again, we don't have to think too hard about what conversion I'm using. The reason I'm not thinking too hard is because I know I've always got to cancel diagonal. So if I know something with pounds is up top in the left, I got to put something with pounds down in the bottom in the right. That's the only way they cancel. I can't put something with tons down there. It's not going to cancel out. If I don't get rid of the unit, I'm not solving it right. I can't put something with stones down there. It's not going to cancel pounds. The only way to get rid of pounds is to make it cancel. That's the trick. Don't sit here and get stuck on it. If you've got pounds you got to get rid of, put something with pounds down there. Don't pick the conversion that doesn't have pounds. So, this 1 pound is 453.59 grams is going to fill in here with the pounds in the bottom to make that cancellation happen. And as you can see, now the only unit I haven't crossed out is grams, which is good because I'm supposed to be at grams. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and multiply. Top, I've got 25 times 1 times 453.59, which is 11,339.75. And on the bottom, I've got 16 times 1, which is 16. I'm going to go ahead and divide these two. When I divide these two, I get 708.04 0.734 grams. Not my final answer. This is not my final answer. This is not my final answer. Because remember, the question isn't asking me to convert to grams. The question is asking me to convert to kilograms. So as I said earlier, I've gotten to there on my metric conversion chart. The problem is I don't want to be there on my metric conversion chart. I really want to be here where it says kilo to get myself to kilograms. So, as you saw in the section on metric, to convert on the metric system, you just use the chart to tell you how many times you move the decimal and in what direction. To go from grams to kilograms, I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 jumps to the left on my chart. And because it's 3 jumps to the left on my chart, I'm going to take and move my decimal the exact same way in my number. So I'm going to take and move my decimal 3 times to the left on the chart. And that's 0.708734 kilograms. And that's my correct answer. All right, in the next one, we're supposed to convert 10 teaspoons into tablespoons. All right, so as you can see, I've got my T-chart set up here, and the first thing I need to do here is escape teaspoons. Unfortunately, there's only one way to escape teaspoons, and the way I know that is because teaspoons only shows up once on that chart right here. So I know I can't get to where I need to be because I need to get to tablespoons, but this question is asking me, or this conversion will only get me to milliliters. So there is more work to do. All right, so as far as writing that in the chart goes, as you can see, I've got my T's set up. I know it's at least a double, so as you can see, there's 2 T's hooked in there. I put my starter up here in the upper left, my 10 teaspoons. This bottom left box is grayed out as it should be because nothing we're going to put there now unless we start doing 2 units here like miles per hour. All right, we know that 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. That's going to get dumped into the chart. Since something with teaspoons is up here, the other teaspoons thing is going to go down there. So I'm going to see 5 milliliters in the top and 1 teaspoon in the bottom. And we're going to see teaspoons canceling teaspoons. And where I'm left here is milliliters. All right, so I've gotten to milliliters. I want to get to tablespoons. Hopefully you can see from my highlights, though, the other conversion that I have highlighted here does the trick. Because this one goes milliliters to tablespoons. And, of course, I do want to get to tablespoons. Again, what's so important that I've been stressing throughout this presentation is I don't have to guess how the units are going to fill in. Units cancel diagonally when I write these in. So where do I write the 15 milliliters? 15 milliliters has to go down here to make milliliters cancel out on the diagonal and leave me with tablespoons where my answer is supposed to go. So 1 tablespoon in the top, 15 milliliters in the bottom, and we see the milliliters scratching out, leaving me tablespoons. Now I'm going to multiply. The top, 10 times 5 times 1 is 50. The bottom is 1 times 15, so this is 50 divided by 15. 50 divided by 15 is 3.3 repeating, 3.3333 if you want me to just round it a little bit, tablespoons. 10 teaspoons is 3.3333 tablespoons. All right, last question here. Another capacity question. As you can see, we've done 2 of each now. This one's a little bit different because here we're going to convert teaspoons into cups. And as you can see with the 2 I've selected here, you'll notice there's no actual direct connection between these. I've highlighted this teaspoon into milliliters, which is great, it works, but the problem is here, I cannot get to cups using this conversion that I've highlighted because it's got liters in it. I can't do milliliters to liters because there's no direct connection there. But what I can do is I can use this metric conversion list. And I'm going to make it go from milliliters to liters here. And that's how I'm going to chain myself to cups. I'm actually going to do that metric conversion in the middle. A little bit different. I'm going to do it in the middle here. So I'm actually going to have two separate T's with the whole metric thing kind of shoved in the middle here. All right, so 10 teaspoons into cups. I know how to get out of teaspoons. We just did that. 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. That's what's going in the T here. All right, we're going to see teaspoons canceling teaspoons on the diagonal. That got me to milliliters. Simple multiplication. You can do this one in your head. You don't even need me to tell you. 10 times 5 at the top, 50. 1 on the bottom is 1. 50 divided by 1 is 50. So that's 50 over 1, or 50 milliliters. Now, I'm going to go metric conversions here now. I'm now at milliliters on the chart. But again, based on the other conversion I have highlighted there, 1 cup is 0.24 liters. I want to get to the middle of the chart where it says unit, which is where meter, liter, or gram would go, in this case, liter. Well, to get from milliliter to liter, I'm going to go ahead and make 3 jumps to the left on my chart. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with my decimal. I'm going to go ahead and make 3 jumps to the left on the chart with my decimal as well here. So when I go ahead and do that, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left. And as you can see, they've done that and changed that into 0.05 liters. So now I've got 0.05 liters. Now I'm going to use that other conversion to get me into cups. The fact 0.24 liters is a cup. So here's T number 2. I'm going to put now my 0.05 liters in the top. And again, I'm going to use the same rules. I know I want to put something with liters down here to make this cancel. All right, because again, I'm trying to get the cups. So this is the conversion I'm using. 0.24 liters is here, 1 cup up the top. The liters are going to cancel diagonally. I've got cups, that's where I'm supposed to get. I've got 0.05 times 1 on the top, 0.05, and 0.24 on the bottom. 0.05 divided by 0.24 is 0.2083. So 10 teaspoons with a little bit of work and some handiness, find out that's 0.2083 cups.